was doing some chores this morning and realized I should probably go check on the bees. I'm doing something right now that we do every year, which is called splitting hives. Sometimes over winter we lose bees, and that's what these are. These are called dead-outs. It's when, for one reason or another, the bees didn't survive winter. We try to keep them as well fed and as disease free as possible, but sometimes things are just sort of out of your control, and so it's common for beekeepers to lose hives over winter. I've got a hive here that made it over winter and is doing quite well. In fact, it was doing really well. And when that happens, the bees do this natural thing, which is called swarming, and it's essentially how bees reproduce. The thing as a beekeeper you have to keep in mind is you're looking at your bees not as the individual bee, but as the hive. You know, you've heard that term hive mind before. We look at the whole hive as a living thing, not necessarily the individual bee. And so this hive was doing so well that they started to exhibit behaviors called swarming. And that's when the bees essentially, take half of them with a new queen and they go fly off to start another hive somewhere else. And so as a beekeeper, you want to prevent that, or you want to try to limit that as much as you can. So when you see that the hive is starting to swarm, you'll do what's called a split. And with a split, what we do is we take half the bees and maybe even half of those and start a new hive. So I've got two hives here on the left of this hive, or our left, that I've split off of this hive. You'll notice all this duct tape on the front of these hives. What I'm doing on these splits is I'm sealing off the holes. So I'm trapping the bees in here, and I'm doing that for a couple of days so that they recognize this as their new home. I've got some vents down here so that they can breathe, and hiding in the top here I have a feeder and a waterer so that they still have nutrients and what they need. After a couple of days in the hive, we can take the tape off and let them come and go as they please. The idea is that they'll now recognize this as their new home, and they won't all just fly back to their old home, because that's pretty common. If you don't seal them up for a little while, they'll just leave and come back to their old home, and you won't have successful splits. So the bees have been in their splits for a couple of days. It's quite hot today, so I'm going to open these up. I'm hoping that they'll stay put, and these will be their new home. So we'll try to get some of this tape off. I can hear some aggressive buzzing, and I can feel some bees starting to land on me, so that's my cue to get out of here. We've opened things up. It's not the prettiest, but we'll check on this in about 48 hours and see how we're doing. Of course, the moment I opened that up, I got chased by 6 or 7 really unhappy bees. They followed me all the way out of the bee yard. Brown is just not a color you should wear around bees. I'm not entirely sure why, but it's a thing for sure. I don't know if maybe it has something to do with bears. I'm not sure, but yeah, always try to wear light colors when working with bees. Blacks and browns, not good. So we're gonna wait about 48 hours, and then we'll check on those splits, see how they're doing. It's kind of hit and miss when you do, those are called walk-away splits, is when you split a hive and then kind of just walk away from it. I'll check on it in a couple of days, see how we're making out. Ideally, we should see some baby bees, an emerged queen, and a healthy population that's starting to grow. Why don't you tell me what we're doing here?
Getting eaten alive by mosquitoes and planting sweet corn and popcorn.
Today I'm putting in the frame for our greenhouse. I ordered this about, I don't know, 5 months ago, and it finally showed up. So I'm just getting the main hoops installed, putting the purlins in, and I'm hoping to get the frame done before the storm rolls in. We've been waiting for rain all week, and we're finally getting it right when I don't really want it, but that's okay. Rain is good. I'm just working between the rain showers to get the frame done, and I'm hoping this weekend to get the whole greenhouse done, but I don't know. But it's my first time doing anything like this, so it's slow going. We had to delay building the frame a little bit because I was concerned about the dirt in here. One thing I wanted to do before I got the ends on was run the tractor in here and bring some dirt in and some compost, run the cultivator over it. It's much easier to do with the tractor than it is our little rototiller. So I was able to get that done. I'm not sure if this ground is any good. I think it's going to take years of work to get the ground in here as a good growing medium. I mean, you have to remember we're doing this on our driveway, so there's a lot of gravel that we had to dig out. It took a little doing. So it looks like the weather's going to cooperate for us a little better today. So we're going to try to get the cover on the greenhouse. Hopefully it goes okay.
Roll this out as I pull it.
So this is wiggle wire. The idea is that it goes into this channel. We tuck it in there. It's a little tricky, kind of tough on the fingers. It just tucks into the channel like that. And you keep going all the way down. This structure features a double layer plastic, and this fan here is what keeps an air gap between the two layers. That's supposed to provide about a 30% insulation value. We'll see. It's pretty toasty in here right now. We were able to get the greenhouse to about 95%. We've got the cover on and ran the irrigation. Got a bunch of stuff good to go. I've got a little bit left to do. Got to do some runners on the sides, but overall pretty happy with it. It's pretty toasty in there. We still have to figure out the dirt and what we're going to do on the ground in there. I think it's going to take a few years of amending and tilling and adding soil to get it kind of just right. So this year, it's kind of a practice year. I think it'll come in really handy at the end of this season to extend things for us. But with the greenhouse coming kind of in May, It was a little too late to really make a huge use out of it, but that's okay. What are you doing?
I am tying up my tomato plants so that they grow up the string, in theory. And then we get lots of tomatoes.